Griffin, get this straight. We don't kill humans, the Voth Empress Ilara snarled, her eyes flashing. Only enemies of the Empire. Isaac Griffin stood his ground. The hardened mercenary had faced battlefields soaked in blood and planets scorched to cinders. No alien empress could make him flinch. Not even the reptilian ruler of the once mighty Voth, now desperate enough to summon a lowly human to her chambers. The war had raged for decades, humanity refusing to bend to Voth conquest. Soldiers like Isaac fought tooth and nail, beating back the reptilian invaders battle by bloody battle. The tide was turning. The Voth grew weak, their empire crumbling. But not weak enough. Your daughter, Isaac said. The princess, Zara, you need her back. Ilara hissed venomously, her claws flexing. My treacherous cousin Zarion plots against me. His faction took Zara. He seeks to force my surrender, the coward. Let me guess, you want me to rescue her? Name your price, Ilara spat, as if the words burned her forked tongue. A seat on the Voth Council, a real voice in shaping the future for humans in this galaxy. Isaac could already taste that power, that influence over an empire. Agree, and I'll bring your daughter back and put a plasma bolt through your cousin's skull. Fine, Ilara snapped. But if you fail, human Zara dies and your species burns. Isaac smiled grimly. The lives of billions rode on this. One false step and humanity's future would be snuffed out by Voth retaliation. He had to succeed, for the sake of his species, for the promise of power, and for that sweet satisfaction of watching the mighty Voth bend to a human's will. Armed to the teeth with cutting-edge Voth plasma rifles and pulse grenades, Isaac Griffin gathered his most battle-hardened human commandos. Each one was hand-picked for their skills in infiltration and close-quarters combat. They moved like ghosts through the night, breaching the outer defenses of the compound where intel said Princess Zara was being held. 2 guards patrolled the entrance, their serpentine eyes scanning the perimeter. Isaac signaled his team to hold position. He crept behind the first guard, clamping a gloved hand over his mouth and driving a knife through the base of his skull. The Voth soldier went limp. The second guard turned, eyes wide, fumbling for his weapon. Isaac was faster. A silenced burst from his rifle dropped the guard in a spray of blue blood. Move up, Isaac whispered into his comm. Zara's our first priority. They slipped inside, hugging the shadows. The humans had spent years fighting the Voth, learning their tactics, their weaknesses. The reptilian soldiers were strong and well-armed, but they lacked the adaptability, the sheer tenacity of human fighters backed into a corner. Room by room, corridor by corridor, Isaac's team cleared a path deeper into the facility. Voth guards fell before they could even raise the alarm, dispatched by muffled gunshots and quick, brutal knife work. Then they saw the cells, dozens of them, each one holding a human prisoner. Men and women, eyes hollow, bodies emaciated. Many bore the scars of illegal experiments and surgeries. Isaac peered closer at one of the captives and gasped. The man's veins bulged green against his pallid skin. Some noxious cocktail of chemicals eating him from the inside. A voice crackled over the compound's intercom. Yes, Lord Zarian. We are ready to begin final testing of the Homo sapiens extermination virus. We will be ready to deploy in 72 hours. The words hit Isaac like a gut punch. This wasn't just a prison. It was a testing ground for a bioweapon, something cooked up to wipe out humanity. Zara wasn't the only thing at stake anymore. It was every man, woman, and child on Earth. Alarms blared as Isaac's team kicked down the door to the command center. A dozen Voth soldiers whirled around, drawing weapons. Isaac charged forward, a plasma bolt searing a path across his chest plate. He buried his vibro knife to the hilt in a guard's eye socket, pivoting to riddle 2 more with bullets. His commandos surged in behind him, a tide of ruthless efficiency. For a species that prided itself on military supremacy, these Voth elites fell with disappointing ease. Only one remained, the lead scientist judging by his coat. He cowered behind a console, raising his clawed hands. Wait! Don't shoot! I surrender! Isaac hauled him up by the collar. The bioweapon, talk now. It's not ready yet. Zarian's planning to unleash it on your homeworld, but he's moving up the timetable. It'll be ready in days, not weeks. Isaac cursed. They were out of time. He needed to get Zara and warn Earth, but he couldn't let this weapon see the light of day. All right, listen up, he barked to his team. Zorn here is going to tell us exactly where Zarion is holed up. Dakota Reeves, you're with me. We're going to hit that scaly psycho before he can poison our whole species. The rest of you, finish up here and get the princess out. Be ready to haul ass off this rock once you've got her. His squad nodded grimly. They all knew the stakes, one screw-up, and humanity would be choking on their own blood by the billions. Hang on, Zara, Isaac muttered. I'm coming. And Zarian, your days are numbered, you son of a bitch. Isaac and his team raced through the compound's twisting corridors, Dr. Zorn in tow. They burst into the hangar bay, startling a pair of Voth mechanics. 2 quick bursts from Isaac's rifle sent them crumpling to the floor. Sam, pick us a ride, Isaac ordered, scanning the array of sleek Voth spacecraft. Something fast and heavily armed. On it, boss. Sam, Isaac's longtime friend and demolitions expert, dashed over to a menacing-looking gunship. He pried open a panel and set to work hot-wiring the engines. Isaac shoved Dr. Zorn into the cargo hold, keeping his rifle trained on the quivering scientist. All right, Zorn, where's Azarian planning to launch this plague from? Zorn stammered out a set of coordinates. Isaac plugged them into the ship's nav computer. The location was remote, hidden deep in Voth space. Isaac, we've got a problem, Sam called from the cockpit. The weapons delivery system? It runs on some rare mineral. Only place to get it is a nasty little rock called Nox. Then that's our first stop, Isaac said grimly. We knock out their mineral supply and Zarian's doomsday weapon is nothing but a fancy paperweight. The stolen gunship roared to life, blasting out of the hangar and into the starry void. As they hurtled towards Nox, Isaac pored over the planet's specs. Hostile atmosphere, vicious predators, and now crawling with Zarian's goons. A real vacation spot. They set down on Nox's jagged surface, the gunship's scanners picking up the energy signature of a Voth mining operation. Isaac and his team moved out, keeping to the shadows of the planet's towering rock formations. Zarian's forces were already hard at work. Crews of Voth laborers hauling carts of glittering black mineral to a makeshift refinery. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter, their keen eyes scanning for any hint of trouble. Isaac and his team split up, moving to flank the mine from multiple angles. They'd played this game before, the deadly dance of guerrilla warfare against a numerically superior foe. Patience, stealth, and brutally precise violence were the keys to victory. On Isaac's signal, they struck. Silenced rounds punched through scaly hides, dropping guards before they could raise the alarm. The humans ghosted through the mine, leaving a trail of Voth corpses in their wake. But their luck couldn't hold forever. A shout of warning, a burst of plasma fire, and suddenly the whole place was lit up like a Christmas tree. Voth soldiers poured out of the refinery, forcing Isaac and his team to fall back to the shelter of the rocks. Sam! Isaac yelled into his comm over the din of battle. We need that mineral stockpile gone now. I'm on it, Sam's voice crackled back. Just keep those scaly bastards off me. Isaac and the others laid down a blistering hail of covering fire as Sam dashed towards the refinery, a satchel of high-yield explosives slung over his shoulder. Plasma bolts scorched the air around him, but he pushed forward with single-minded determination. He reached the main power generator, a hulking machine thrumming with barely contained energy. Sam hastily rigged the charges, fingers flying over the detonator. Fire in the hole, he screamed into his comm. Get clear now! Isaac and the surviving members of his team sprinted for the gunship as the refinery exploded behind them, the shockwave throwing them off their feet. Isaac scrambled up, searching desperately for any sign of Sam. But there was nothing, just a smoking crater where the refinery had stood, the precious mineral deposits buried under tons of rubble. Sam had given his life to buy humanity a fighting chance. There was no time to mourn. Zarion was still out there, still hell-bent on unleashing his genocidal weapon. Isaac and his battered team piled into the gunship, rocketing towards the launch facility and the final confrontation with the mad Voth warlord. They arrived to find the base already on high alert, alarms blaring and soldiers scrambling to their posts. Isaac didn't hesitate. He leapt from the gunship, plasma rifle blazing, cutting a swath through the defending Voth. His team fanned out behind him, ruthlessly efficient in their assault. The countdown had already begun by the time they fought their way to the control room. Zarion stood at the master console, his clawed finger hovering over the launch button. He whirled to face Isaac, eyes blazing with hatred. "You're too late, human," he snarled. "My weapon will purge your filthy species from the galaxy." Isaac didn't waste time on words. He lunged at Zarion, slamming a fist into the Voth's jaw. They traded blows, two apex predators locked in a brutal struggle for dominance. Zarion was strong and fast, his razor-sharp claws scoring deep gashes in Isaac's flesh. But the human fought with desperate ferocity, driving his fists into Zarion's scaly hide again and again. The countdown ticked towards 0. Isaac summoned the last of his strength, smashing Zarion's skull against the console with a sickening crunch. The Voth warlord slumped to the floor, his grand designs of genocide foiled at the last second. Isaac slammed his hand down on the abort button, his blood-slicked fingers trembling. The computer beeped in acknowledgement. The launch sequence terminated. He sagged against the console, his battered body screaming in agony, but a grim smile tugged at his lips. Humanity would live to fight another day. Isaac dragged himself into the Empress's chamber. Princess Zara slumped against him. Blood seeped from a dozen wounds. His muscles screamed in agony, but he'd done it. He'd saved Zara, thwarted Zarion's genocide. Hilara turned from the window, her eyes widening. "Zara, my daughter, you're safe!" She rushed over, pulling the princess into a desperate embrace. Zara clung to her mother, sobbing, "Isaac, he saved me, saved all of us." Hilara looked to Isaac, her gaze unreadable. "You have done well, human, better than I expected." Isaac smiled wryly. "Glad to exceed expectations. Now about my reward." The chamber doors burst open. A dozen Voth soldiers stormed in, plasma rifles leveled at Hilara and Zara. "Empress Hilara," the lead soldier snarled. "By order of the true Voth Council, you are under arrest for crimes against the Empire." "What is the meaning of this?" Hilara demanded, shielding Zara behind her. "Haven't you heard?" the soldier sneered. "There's been a change in leadership. Lord Zarion's supporters control the government now." Zara gasped, her eyes wide with fear. "Mother, they'll kill us." Isaac tensed, reaching for his rifle, but he was spent, beaten. He couldn't fight off an entire squad in this state. Hilara met Isaac's gaze, pleading, "Please, Isaac, I know I have no right to ask for more, but—" Isaac sighed. Looked like his ticket home would have to wait. "All right, Your Majesty. Looks like we've got a coup to crush." With a speed that belied his battered body, Isaac drew his sidearm and fired, dropping the lead soldier with a shot to the head. Hilara shoved Zara towards a side door. "Go, now!" They sprinted down a narrow corridor, as plasma bolts scorched the walls behind them. Isaac brought up the rear, snapping off shots to keep their pursuers at bay. Zara led them through a labyrinth of secret passages, the sounds of booted feet and shouted orders echoing through the palace. "I know a place we can hide," she whispered. "Somewhere even Zarion's forces won't find us." She pushed open a hidden door, ushering Isaac and Hilara into a dimly lit chamber. Figures stirred in the shadows. Voth, but not soldiers. Civilians, armed with whatever makeshift weapons they could muster. "My loyal subjects," Zara said, her voice trembling with emotion. "Those still faithful to the true Empire, we need your help." A tall Voth male stepped forward, bowing. "Princess, your mother, it's an honor. We heard about the coup. What would you have us do?" Isaac stepped forward. "We take back the palace. Hilara is the rightful empress, and I'm not about to let some scaly bastard with delusions of grandeur take that away." He turned to Zara and Hilara. "I've got a plan. It's risky, but it's our best shot. These folks here, they know the palace better than anyone, right?" Zara nodded. Every hidden passage, every secret room. Good, because we're going to need that knowledge. We split into 2 teams. One creates a diversion at the main gate, draws the bulk of Zarion's forces away. The other sneaks in through the secret passages and makes a beeline for the throne room. Ilara frowned. The throne room will be heavily guarded. Exactly, and that's where they'll be keeping you once Zarion realizes his men don't have you in custody anymore. We get in, free you, and then broadcast to the whole Empire that their rightful ruler is back in charge. Zara laid a hand on Isaac's arm. Isaac, I can't ask you to risk your life for this, for us. Isaac met her gaze. You didn't ask, I'm offering. Now let's go, we're burning daylight. The resistance fighters moved out, guided by Zara's knowledge of the palace layout. Isaac and Zara took a winding route through narrow passages, the walls pressing in on either side. As they neared the throne room, the sounds of combat echoed from the main gate. The diversion was working. 2 guards stood outside the ornate doors. Isaac dropped one with a precise headshot. Zara's blade found the other's throat before he could raise the alarm. They burst into the throne room. Ilara was there, chained and beaten but alive. Isaac rushed to her, shooting the locks off her restraints. Alarms blared as Zarion's soldiers realized what was happening. Zara barricaded the doors, buying them precious seconds. Empress, the broadcast room, Isaac yelled over the chaos. You have to tell your people that you're back in control. Ilara nodded, determination blazing in her eyes. She reached for the broadcast controls just as the throne room doors exploded inward. Soldiers poured through, plasma bolts stitching the air. Isaac and Zara dove for cover, returning fire with grim precision. But there were too many, the enemy's weapons too strong. A searing bolt caught Zara in the side. She cried out, stumbling. Zara! Isaac lunged for her, pulling her behind a pillar as the Voth forces advanced. Ilara's voice boomed over the palace speakers. My people! The usurper Zarion seeks to steal your empire, to pervert the Voth into his twisted image, but your rightful ruler lives. Rise up, cast out this pretender. Zarion's tyranny ends today. The soldiers faltered, confused, unsure. For a moment it seemed Ilara's words might sway them. Then the throne room doors slammed open again. Zarion strode in, eyes blazing with rage. You treacherous whore, he snarled at Ilara. I'll flay you alive for this. He raised his plasma rifle, aiming at the Empress. Time slowed. Isaac leapt from cover, throwing himself in front of Ilara. The plasma bolt took him in the chest. Agony exploded through him as he crumpled to the floor, the world going grey at the edges. Isaac, no, Zara screamed. She charged at Zarion, heedless of the dozen rifles aimed at her. What happened next was a blur of blood and desperation. Ilara and Zara fought like cornered wolves. Loyal Voth rallied to their Empress's call, turning on the surprised soldiers. By the time it was over, the throne room was an abattoir. Zarion lay dead, his grand ambitions ground to dust. But Princess Zara was gone, lost in the chaos. Isaac dragged himself to Ilara's side, clutching his ruined chest. Where is she? He gasped. Ilara shook her head helplessly, tears cutting through the blood and grime on her face. Isaac forced himself to stand, agony lancing through him. I'll find her, I swear it. No matter what it takes, I'll bring your daughter back. Isaac tracked Zarion's last loyalists to a fortified outpost on the fringes of Voth space. The base bristled with anti-aircraft guns and swarms of armored troops. Isaac gathered a handful of resistance fighters, those still loyal to Ilara. They were a ragtag bunch, grizzled veterans, idealistic youths, grease-stained mechanics turned guerrilla fighters. But they all burned with the same fire, the same hunger to see Zarion fall. Under the cover of night, Isaac led the assault. They hit the outer defenses hard, plasma bolts and grenades chewing through surprised Voth soldiers. Isaac spearheaded the charge, rifle blazing, cutting a path to the heart of the base. Wave after wave of enemies crashed against them. Isaac lost track of how many he killed, how many times he narrowly dodged death. His muscles burned. His wounds screamed, but he pushed forward, an unstoppable force of vengeance. At last they breached the command center. Zarion stood waiting, a smug grin on his scaly face. "I knew you'd come, human. You're so predictable." Isaac saw Zara then, bound and gagged, strapped to a pulsing mass of explosives. His heart seized. "Let her go, you bastard." Zarion chuckled darkly. "I think not. You see, if you kill me, boom, this whole place goes up and your precious princess with it." The timer ticked down, each second an eternity. Isaac's mind raced, desperate for a solution. But there was none, no clever trick, no last-minute miracle. Just one terrible choice. Slowly, Isaac lowered his rifle. "You win, Zarion. I surrender." Zarion's eyes gleamed with triumph. "I knew you'd see reason. Now kneel before your better human." As Voth soldiers bound his wrists, Isaac caught Zara's eye. Tears streaked her face, but behind them he saw something else, a flicker of hope, of trust. She believed in him even now. He couldn't let her down. The Voth gathered in their thousands to witness the great spectacle. Isaac, the human champion, on his knees before Zarion, the savior of the Voth. The crowds roared as Zarion raised his blade, ready to separate Isaac's head from his shoulders. "Any last words, human?" Zarion sneered. Isaac looked up at him, defiant to the end. "Go to hell." The blade flew down. Isaac braced for the killing blow, but it never came. Zara threw herself forward, breaking free of her bonds. She lunged between Isaac and Zarion, the sword plunging into her chest. "Doe!" The scream tore from Isaac's throat. He surged to his feet, slamming into Zarion with the force of a raging bull. They crashed to the ground in a tangle of flailing limbs and snapping teeth. Isaac wrapped his hands around Zarion's throat, squeezing with every ounce of strength he possessed. Zarion thrashed and bucked, but Isaac held on, watching the life fade from the traitor's eyes. He let the body fall, scrambling to Zara's side. He cradled her in his arms, heedless of the blood soaking his clothes. "Zara, hold on. We'll get you help. Just hold on." She smiled up at him, her breath rattling in her chest. "It's okay, Isaac. This was my choice." Tears blurred his vision. "But why? Why sacrifice yourself for me?" Her hand found his cheek, her touch feather-light. "Because I love you, Isaac. I think I have for a while now." His heart shattered. He pulled her close, their foreheads touching. "I love you too, Zara. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." "Don't be." Her voice was fading, her eyes losing focus. "Just promise me, promise you'll find a way to end this war, to bring our people together." "I promise." The words burned in his throat. "I swear it on my life." She smiled one last time. Then she was gone, slipping away in his arms. Isaac returned to Ilara, his heart a lead weight in his chest. He stood before the Empress, numb and hollow, and told her of Zara's fate. Ilara wept, her regal composure crumbling. But when the tears dried, she looked at Isaac with newfound respect. "She believed in you. In the future you could build. And so do I." She named him her official liaison to the human government, a bridge between their worlds. Isaac accepted, knowing it was what Zara would have wanted. As he boarded the shuttle back to Earth, Isaac let his mind drift to the incredible journey that had brought him here. The battles fought, the friends lost, the love found and tragically torn away. But through it all, one thing remained constant: his promise to Zara. His drive to forge a better universe, one where Voth and humans could live in peace. It wouldn't be easy. The scars of war ran deep on both sides, but he would try. For Zara, for Sam, and all the others who had given their lives. For the future they dreamed of. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.